Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Dr. Raquel Martin. I am a licensed clinical psychologist, professor, scientist, and today we are going to discuss racial socialization, which is an amazing way to improve the mental health and well-being of your Black children. Dr. Martin here. So welcome again to my channel. Today we are going to discuss ethnic socialization. Ethnic socialization is the way that we teach our children about their culture, belief system, and values attributed to their ethnicity and their culture. And when it comes down to it with Black individuals and other people of the global majority, ethnic socialization contributes to a strong racial ethnic identity development, Black identity development, which is incredibly important. Why? So, Black identity development, having a strong sense of Black identity development acts as a barrier against impacts of racism and prejudice. And it also acts as a bridge to strong identity development. It also contributes to a decreased likelihood of developing mental health disorders such as anxiety and depression. So let's get into it, shall we? Now, when it comes down to it, what you are going to do as a parent of a Black child, and notice I say parent of a Black child, not just Black people, because there are many individuals who have Black children and are not Black. You still need to work on this. So you need to balance proactive racial socialization and protective racial socialization, okay? The purpose of proactive racial socialization is to help your child appreciate themselves and feel empowered as Black youth. The purpose of protective racial socialization is to promote an awareness of oppression and prejudice overall, to let individuals know that they have this form of bias against them, but not to berate them and beat them down with it. You have to balance the two, because if your child is provided with a ridiculous amount of protective racial socialization and does not acknowledge the proactive part, the empowering part of culture and their ethnicity, if all we discuss with their children is preparation for oppression and distrust and bias without talking about their culture and their values and their strengths, then they will of course feel less than, and they will feel significantly stressed. So when it comes to protective racial socialization, this involves building a strong community for your child, and that includes people that look like your child. Family of choice is just as important as family of origin. So one of the ways to do this is to identify different resources. You can look up Facebook pages, online communities for parents, groups, or build one of your own. Because I guarantee you, when it comes to Black socialization and your ethnicity, there are many parents who are looking for opportunities to provide their children with ways to commune with others. It doesn't, and I speak about it in terms of course, they can engage with their family members. Of course, they can engage with friends. And if you're in a neighborhood where they have a lot of people that look like them, that's amazing. And I also want to include the fact that a lot of people don't have that. So if you don't have that, you don't get to opt out of it. You don't get to see it as, well, it's just important for them to be around children. It's just important for Black people, with Black kids, to be around other Black kids. That's not true. It's important for you to be around children, yes. It's important for you to be around diverse individuals, yes. It's also incredibly important for you to be around people that look like you. So you can have a diverse aspect of experience around people that look like you. There is no monolithic experience when it comes to Black people. So if you have that around your current neighborhood or friends and family or opportunities, that's amazing. If not, please be sure to create this opportunity for your children as well, because this is incredibly important. Another important thing to do has to do with surrounding your children with books and media and messaging that empowers them, okay? It is important for your children to read books that you're able to discuss with them. You'd be surprised, or you may not be surprised, how many times individuals, Black children, will read books in school, required reading in school, where the only character that looks like them is the antagonist or the villain. They never get to hear a story with people that look like them, that are centered around them. They're the narrative. They're the primary purpose of the book, whether it is saving lives, whether it's fiction or nonfiction. It is detrimental to have individuals, have children, digest so many narratives and realize that they're not even considered in that. Especially, you know, a lot of children like fiction books. When you look at dystopia, or where you look at science fiction, or you look at futuristic books, how many times do you notice that Black people are not included? That is a damaging message. Black people are in the future too. So I want you to include books and movies and films and comic books and narratives that include your child to empower them. so that they know that they are present in every single realm. And I also think this is a very amazing activity to do with your children when you get to read books with them. You can also kind of like learn a little bit about their perspectives, because a lot of times children will identify with characters that remind them of themselves. So when you are reading a book with your child and you're talking to them about it, you're like, who do you identify more with? Who really speaks to opportunities or difficulties or experiences that you have had? It's a really good way to kind of share an amazing experience with your child, learn more about them, but also learn more about their interests. Because as children get older, yes, it is a little bit harder to pull them in to your experience and to learn more about them. The way you do that is by doing activities with them, and not just activities that you want to do, activities that they want to do too. So it's not only about the books. You can also look at what they read. You can also look at the TV shows. You can also look at art in your home when your children come home, because a lot of times for Black people, the world is a very difficult place, and it can be a very difficult place. When they come home, this should be a soft place for them to land. The world is tough. I want to be a soft place for you to land. And I want you to come home and see yourself, not only in the family portraits, but in the art that I choose to put in my home, in the decor that I choose to put in my home. So also look at that. Also look at the artwork in your home and the events that you choose to go to. I will also say, when it comes to books and exhibits and museums, you need to embrace the different experiences of Black children, Black adults, people who identify as mixed, people who identify as non-binary, people within the Black LGBTQ community, because it's also about the messaging of who we are able to be, being able to tell our own stories. One of the biggest mistakes I see people making is focusing on one narrative. Black people are not monolithic, and we are allowed to have freedom and to expand and have different stories. So knowing this will help you transition from cultural awareness to critical consciousness, which allows you to take in what you know from your view of your culture, from your generation, from your age, from where you were reared, and to apply that, critically think, problem solve, and challenge what you know. And this honestly makes the world a better place for all of our children. As having Black children, we also need to identify with their experience and their generation. And that can make it really difficult for them to connect with us at times. I will also say, when it comes to this aspect of socialization, it's really important to empower your child and be specific about the way you empower your child. It's not enough to tell your child that they're beautiful. Because beautiful in what way? I want you to say it's not about being different. It's not about solely about being beautiful. You're beautiful because of the way you can solve problems, because of the way that you dance, because of the way that you bring value into certain situations, because of your integrity, right? I want you to be intentional, because there are different ways to provide our children with messaging about what it means to be Black. And those can be intentional and unintentional. Intentional messaging is things like when you take them to exhibits, when you have conversations with them, when you talk to them without trying to build a lesson into it. You just engage with them as human beings. Unintentional can be the way that your children see you engage with other ethnicities, can be the way they see you engage with people of their own ethnicity, but with different hair texture or different complexion. Those can also tell your children about what you think, right? If you feel like they need to act a certain way around certain people and act differently around other people, they're already getting a message about how you view those individuals, right? How you put them on a certain pedestal or lack thereof, right? So it's also important to look at the messaging, not only about what you may be saying verbally, but also like body language and tone. Do they notice that you speak to women differently or men differently or people of lighter skin color versus darker skin color differently? Do they notice as you talk to people of different ages differently? They're going to pick that up too. It's really important to normalize the discussion of ethnicity, normalize the fact that everything isn't good and everything isn't bad. Normalize the fact that it's okay to have these discussions, because when it comes to racial socialization and Black identity development, it is an integral part of who your child will become or who you will become, right? Individuals with a strong sense of ethnic identity, it is the epitome of I know who I am because I know who I'm not. I don't need to sit here and deal with or take in and internalize this incessant aspect of racism that's being placed on me, prejudice that's being placed on me, because this person who's decided to tell me that they feel as though I have a lack of intellect, this person who's decided to say that I am not smart enough or to be in this room, this person who's going to sit here and tell me that my hair is unprofessional. I'm not going to internalize that, because I know who I am and I know who I'm not, and I'm not that. Black socialization, ethnic socialization is so important. It really is, one, it's my specialty, but two, it really does help your children to develop in a way. We talk about all of these milestones. We talk about fine and gross motor milestones. We talk about intellectual milestones. And in school, we talk about assessments and testing. But you also need to keep a good eye on the ethnic development of your child. How do they feel about themselves? Do you ever ask them, how do they feel about belonging to the ethnicity of being Black? Do they see good messages around being Black? What are some last time they saw good things about being Black in the media, around family? When the last time they saw bad things? And asking these questions, you need to be more so concerned about their answer. You need their answer, because it'll let you know where to go. If they're talking about, well, I often see negative representations of people who look like us on TV, Mom. I need to look at what you're watching on TV or on the news. I need to provide greater insight and give you more context of what's in the news. I see bad visuals of us in school. I need to go up to that school, right? You really need to, when we're talking about the proactive messaging, it is something that you do every single day. I think a lot of times people will make the assumption that because you are Black, that your children will automatically get this positive aspect from you. And that very much is true in some sense. That is the unintentional way. But you also need to be intentional, because when it comes to racism, it finds its way into every single room. I was doing a podcast with Amanda Seals, and she was like, it's flexible that way. It is. It's malleable. It will shapeshift to get anywhere that it wants to be. And it needs to be the same way that people are very intentional about being racist towards Black children. We need to be intentional about building up that shield, that barrier for them overall. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. If you have made it to the end, that is incredibly helpful for me. I want you to tell me if you want to hear more about this topic. This is my specialty, so I can very much do a series on this. We did a series on toxic shame. I can do a series on this too. And please stay tuned for the next video where I talk about protective messaging when it comes down to, we talked about the empowerment aspect and the ways to discuss that. Next video, I'm going to discuss the protective messaging, because you do need both. And it can be difficult for individuals to discuss, how do I talk to my children about bias and prejudice and the fact that people will look at them in a certain way that I don't think is appropriate and that no one should think is appropriate. You do it. You have the conversation with them. And I'll go into that in the next video. If you want to learn more about me and my day-to-day, or see more about me and my day-to-day, please feel free to follow me on Instagram or TikTok at Raquel Martin, PhD. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and then share below some more topics that you want to hear me talk about, because I do look at them and I want to know what you want this channel to focus on. We do focus on mental health. We do focus on the integration of mental health and being Black, and also ethnic identity development. I'm also willing to discuss other topics. I'm hoping to do a series on some shows that I really, really like too. All right. Thank you all.